In the country of Yelgland, there was a school called Kimberley Magic Academy. It was said that 20% who enrolled there were unable to finish due to various reasons, and one of them was death. One of those who enrolled in this academy was the teenager named Oliver Horn. As he was about to enter the school for the entrance ceremony, he met on the way the other first-year students named Katie, Guy, Michaela, and Pete. A few moments later, a woman named Nino who was still wearing a kimono passed by, and she caught their attention. When they entered the school, they had witnessed the magical fauna parade. As the troll passed by, a student used magic on Katie to make her run towards the troll. Oliver and Guy moved quickly to save her, so Michaela and Pete followed them too. When the troll noticed that Katie was approaching him, the magic on her feet disappeared too. He was about to attack Katie when Nino suddenly screamed and stopped the troll. Michaela took this opportunity to attack the troll, but it did not work. Oliver thought of a way and told the others to use wind spells. When Michaela and the others were able to do this, Oliver used a tibia so he could create a dragon's roar. Because of this, the troll was restless, so Nino took this opportunity to attack it. The color of her hair suddenly changed, which surprised Oliver, and with just one attack, the troll fell to the ground immediately. After this incident, they went to the room where the entrance ceremony would be held. They were all amazed when the headmistress of the academy, named Esmeralda, came there. She gave a welcome message, then they were taken to a room with prepared tables, and they were welcomed by the second-year students. While they were eating, they introduced themselves to each other. Michaela found out that it was her father who encouraged Nino to enroll to the academy. And since her father was also a part-time lecturer, he was definitely the one who recommended her, and this was probably the reason why she did not take the entrance exam. After they finished their meal, they went to the dormitory where Oliver and Pete were sharing the same room. The next day before sunrise, Oliver decided to walk around the school. A few minutes later, a woman suddenly spoke to him. She said that she was a covert operative sent by his cousin Gwen to keep an eye on him. She introduced herself as Teresa, but she did not show her face to him. After a few hours, Oliver and his classmates headed to their class. The first class of the day was sword arts, and their teacher was Luther. As Luther would usually do on the first day of class, he conducted a duel. Nino immediately volunteered on the first fight, so Richard also volunteered to fight her. Oliver knew that Richard just wanted to show that he was better than Nino, so he also volunteered to fight Nino. Because of this, he had an argument with Richard, so Michaela also volunteered to be Richard's partner in the duel. Oliver and Nino faced each other on the first duel, and before they started, Luther put an anti-lethal spell on their swords to prevent them from getting severe damage in the fight. When they started, Nino's hair color changed again and she attacked first. Oliver used the grave soil, but Nino quickly recovered from the technique. They continued to exchange strong attacks until Oliver was convinced that there was a possibility that Nino had killed many people with her sword. Both of them planned to use their most powerful attack, but Luther immediately stopped them because he saw what they were planning to do. That was the moment when Michaela asked Richard if he would be able to stop the attacks made by Nino. Then she told Luther that they would not continue with the duel, to which Richard agreed. After their class, Nino talked to Oliver to challenge him to a duel again. But Oliver immediately refused because he did not want the two of them to kill each other. Their next class was spellology, and Francis was their teacher. As for their third class, Miss Vanessa taught them about the magical biology. In the afternoon, Oliver and Teresa talked again. This time, Teresa reminded Oliver that he should be careful in choosing his future friends. Then she also informed him that she would be gone for a while because she was going to Gwen's workshop. That night after they had dinner, Pete noticed that he had left his book in their classroom, so he decided to go back to get it. Since both Oliver and Michaela knew that the academy was not safe at night, they decided to go with him. When they entered the room, Pete immediately saw his book. But when they were about to go back, they were surprised that the door was blocked by a wall. Then the whole environment changed, and they realized that they were in a labyrinth. A few moments later, the fourth-year student named Ophelia appeared to them, and they immediately recognized her because Oliver knew the thesis she did. She tried to invite them to join her, but Oliver immediately rejected it and they ran away from her. But before they could get away, the path was suddenly blocked again. It turned out to be done by the fifth-year student, named Cyrus. When Ophelia approached them, she and Cyrus threw insulting words on each other. Cyrus called Ophelia a succubus, and she got very angry. Because of this, they both decided to fight each other and both released their disciples. Oliver and his companions tried to take advantage of this opportunity to escape, but Cyrus quickly stopped them. After a while, they were surprised when Nano came there, and she immediately broke the barrier that Cyrus had placed. She intended to also join the battle between Cyrus and Ophelia so she could give her classmates a chance to escape. Oliver did not agree with what she wanted to happen, so he prepared to fight and followed her. Someone came there to burn the disciples of Cyrus and Ophelia. It turned out to be the student council president of the academy, named Alvin. He was also with another fifth-year student, named Carlos. For this reason, Cyrus and Ophelia could do nothing but return to their workshop. According to Alvin and Carlos, the two might just be curious about the freshmen since they rarely show up. One day while they were in sword arts class, Oliver asked Luther if he could use a spell blade. Luther knew that the time would come when someone would ask him about it, so he explained first what a spell blade was. He said that there were currently 6 known spell blades in existence, but many were still trying to develop new spell blades. But they remained a secret, and it was not made public to whoever could use them. And because of this, he also could not tell them if he was using a spell blade or not. A few minutes later, and while they were being trained, Richard approached Oliver. Both of them teased each other, so Michaela came to stop Richard. But Richard did not listen and challenged Oliver to a practice fight. Oliver immediately agreed to put an end on Richard's demand. But Nano knew that Oliver had no intention of taking Richard seriously, and he planned to just intentionally let Richard win. This made Richard got angry, but Luther noticed them. In the afternoon, Michaela talked to Oliver, so he found out that Richard was her childhood friend. She also told him the possible reason why Richard always wanted to show to everyone his ability. A few moments later, Pete suddenly came to inform them that Katie went to the troll after she found out that the troll was going to be killed. Katie was currently arguing with a teacher who was supposed to get rid of the troll. When he got annoyed at Katie's behavior, he used magic to make her stop. That was the moment when her classmates came, and Oliver immediately recognized that the teacher in front of them was Darius. The teacher was about to use magic on them, but the fourth-year student, named Vera, came there to stop him. Luther also came to inform Darius that the troll could not be removed. He added that it was still under investigation as to what really happened in the parade, and the headmistress also agreed with this. After hearing this, Darius could do nothing but leave. Katie found out that Vera had the same belief and that she was also a rights activist. When they returned, Michaela received a message. It was from Richard, who wanted to challenge Oliver and Nano to a duel. The next day, while Katie was feeding the troll, her other classmates laughed at her. Meanwhile, her other companions discussed Richard's challenge with Oliver, and he decided to accept the challenge. When they returned to their room, they heard their 3 classmates talking about Katie. Guy wanted to confront them, but Oliver stopped him. Just a few moments later, Katie came, and she was immediately approached by her classmates who had been talking about her for a while. Since one of them would not stop picking on her, Oliver got pissed and targeted his talkative classmate. Together with Guy, that was the moment that they got into a fight. When the school found out about it, they were punished and locked up in the detention room. Katie apologized to the 3 of them, but according to Oliver, she was innocent and believed that they did the right thing. Although Michaela agreed with them, she knew that the other first-year students were already angry at them. They also remembered the duel that would happen the next day. They were sure that there was no one they could count on to help them. The next night, they headed to the duel grounds together. When they entered the venue, they did not expect that it was similar to a coliseum. They were also surprised because many first years and second years were there to watch. Before the match began, there was an exhibition battle. When Richard came out, the werewolves were also released. This was just to show to the audience that Richard was good at kobold hunt. Then he approached Oliver's group, and this was when he told them that they were not going to do a duel, but a kobold hunt. In Oliver's mind, he knew that Richard just wanted to take advantage of his skill in this game, and aside from that, Nano did not know anything about this game either. There was a werewolf who wanted to escape, but was only attacked by the second-year students. In Nano's anger, she suddenly shouted and reprimanded the spectators who were happy with what was being done to the werewolf. For this reason, the onlookers threw bottles of water at her, and this was when she decided to leave there. But some students were guarding the gate and were ready to block her by force. When a student was about to release the monster, he was surprised because what was in the cage was a different creature. This monster immediately attacked him, and he was thrown towards the arena. The monster was known as Garuda, and even Richard could not explain how it got there. It rushed towards the other students who were helpless with its overwhelming power. When Richard ran, he was the one who was targeted by this monster. Fortunately, Nano blocked the attack. She fought the monster, while Michaela and the rest fought the other werewolves who were attacking them. When the Garuda was about to hit Nano, Oliver acted quickly to save her. Oliver fought with it, but the monster was able to injure him. Nano quickly parried the opponent's next attack, and Oliver hid to heal his wounds. He saw Richard, who was still shaking with fear and could not believe that they were fighting the Garuda. So Oliver told him that although he also felt fear, he still had to help Nano. Before he returned to the fight, he told Richard that Nano also wanted to see how he would fight. When he got back, he told Nano about his plan to attack the Garuda until Nano had a chance to finish it off. When he did this, Nano moved quickly, but they did not expect that the monster would recover immediately. Because of this, Oliver decided to sacrifice himself, but someone suddenly attacked the Garuda, which turned out to be done by Richard. That was the moment when Nano had a chance to defeat their opponent. Oliver approached Richard to thank him, and so did to Nano. Because of what happened, none of the students wanted to laugh at Katie for what she was doing to the troll. Apart from this, Nano's fans also increased after witnessing how she defeated the Garuda. Katie complained because others did not recognize Oliver's accomplishments. Michaela understood Katie, so she said that she was going to give Oliver a victory kiss, which shocked Oliver. But when Nano found out what Michaela wanted to do, she came closer to Oliver and kissed him. In return, Nano also wanted Oliver to do to her what she did on him. After Guy and Pete encouraged him, Oliver was forced to follow her request. As he was about to do this, someone suddenly called him, and it turned out to be his cousin, Shannon. When she saw that he had many friends and that his condition was good, she also left immediately. A few hours later, while they were in alchemy class, Darius, who was their teacher, asked them to make some kind of potion. Oliver finished quickly, so he helped his classmates who were having problems in their potions. Until he noticed that Pete put something in the potion that should not be mixed in it. He quickly overturned the pot and immediately covered it with his own body to protect the others. Because of what he did, he impressed Darius, so he asked for Oliver's name. Oliver introduced himself, and before Darius left, he was warned by their teacher to be careful in choosing a friend. After their class, Richard came to them and warned Oliver about Darius. He said that their teacher was known to recruit good students in class, but cause destruction to their future. He added that Darius would usually take the work of his students and publish it in his name. And for sure, it would not take long for him to invite Oliver, and he should not trust Darius. Then Richard also told them that someone wanted to talk to them about what happened at the parade. This person turned out to be the culprit of what happened to Katie that day, and she apologized to them. They found out that her family was against people like Katie, who was a rights activist, so she performed that prank. Oliver asked this girl if there was anyone else with her because the troll suddenly acted strange that day. But according to this girl, she had no other company, and she also did not know why the troll became aggressive. In the afternoon, and while Katie was feeding the troll, she asked him what happened and why he suddenly acted strange during the parade. Since she knew that he was not able to speak, she did not expect an answer from the troll. But she was surprised when he suddenly spoke and warned her not to come back. On the other hand, Oliver was currently training Nano to use magic, and while they were doing it, they were also talking about the troll. When Nano mentioned that she noticed the troll wanted to run away that day, Oliver realized that maybe it was really avoiding something. Because of this, they immediately went to Katie, but what they only saw was her theme. The troll spoke to them, and they were also surprised that it was talking. According to the troll, it was certain that Katie would also be taken to the place where he was taken before, and it was in the labyrinth. They immediately headed towards this place until they reached the stairs. Oliver knew that it was dangerous for them to continue, so he thought of asking Alvin for help. But someone suddenly took them, and when they regained consciousness, they saw Vera in front of them. It turned out that they were currently in the workshop where they also saw Katie, who was unconscious. They learned that Vera experimented on the troll's brain, but she failed to make it speak. But Katie was able to do this, so now she planned to check Katie's brain because she believed that she was the key to the knowledge that she wanted to acquire. Nano knew that they could not talk to her to release Katie, so she rushed at her, but she was overtaken by Vera's enchanted eye. Oliver quickly took action to counter Vera's attack. This time, they attacked Vera together. But they still could not keep up with her speed. When Vera used nitrous, Oliver aimed at the potions on the table, causing her to stop the attack. Nano took this opportunity to attack, but she fell into Vera's trap. When Vera attacked with Flamma, Nano overcome it as well as the impetus. Vera used Flamma again, and with Oliver's help, they tried to block it. Then they rushed together and Oliver was the one who made a way to give Nano a good chance to attack their opponent. She managed to move behind Vera to avoid the enchanted eye. But they also realized immediately that her hand had an enchanted eye. Because of this, Nano made a way to get ahead of the enchanted eye, and she did it successfully. Oliver could not believe the technique done by Nano. However, in his analysis, he had a hunch that this was a kind of spellblade that was not among the other 6 spellblades. But Nano had no idea that she had used a spellblade. After a while, Alvin and Carlos came there because they received an anonymous tip about the incident. When Katie regained consciousness, they informed her of everything about Vera. Katie asked them what might happen to the troll after the incident. Oliver thought that it would not be killed after knowing of its ability to speak. After hearing this, Katie was at least happy even though Vera had betrayed her. When they left the infirmary, Darius greeted them and invited Oliver to come with him. He took Oliver to the place where some of the powerful monsters were located, but he easily eliminated them. Until they reached the gate where the monsters came out. After Darius closed it, it was here that Oliver asked him if he also knew anything about the troll. Apart from knowing that Darius was rushing to get rid of the troll, Oliver also found out that he was the one who supplied demi-humans to Vera. Since Darius could not deny it anymore, he told Oliver why he supported Vera. He said that he wanted to fulfill his dream of removing stupidity from humanity. And he wanted Oliver to help him make it happen. Oliver asked again, and it was Darius's whereabouts and what he was doing on the night of April 8, 1525. That was the moment when Darius realized that Oliver was investigating him, and he was also surprised that the woman they killed that night had a relative who was still alive. When Oliver confirmed that Darius was one of the reasons for his mother's death, he decided to attack him. When they attacked at the same time, Oliver saw different kinds of futures that could happen to him. Because of this, he created his own future, and using the 4th spellblade, called Angustavia, he was able to cut off Darius's hand. Then he followed it with a nitrous, causing Darius to fall. Darius could not believe that someone was still using the 4th spellblade even though its owner was gone. That was when he found out that Oliver was the son of that woman he killed. Oliver wanted Darius to feel the 128 types of pain that they made to make his mother suffer. He would do this until he could hear from Darius those words which he wanted to hear. Oliver immediately started it until they reached the 57th pain spell. That was the moment when Darius begged Oliver to kill him, which Oliver immediately followed. Gwen and Shannon arrived there who were also with him in his revenge plan. He was surprised to notice a woman, and it turned out to be Teresa. He found out that she was also the one who tipped Alvin and Carlos when they were at Vera's workshop. After a few moments, Gwen brought in their other allies for Oliver's coronation as their leader. It turned out that Oliver already knew who else were with Darius that night. And these were Vanessa, Francis, Enrico, Demetrio, Baldia and Esmeralda. For months later, Esmeralda called the other teachers because Darius still had not shown up. For this reason, they had been thinking about the possibility that he was dead. They suspected that someone had killed Darius, since it was sure that no one among the 6 of them did it. Vanessa thought that Theodore might have something to do with it. She did not notice that Theodore was just above them who had just returned from his trip from different places. And since he too had nothing to do with Darius's disappearance, Vanessa asked Esmeralda on what she would do if the culprit was a student. Esmeralda replied that she would make this student suffer once they found out who had done this. While Pete was sleeping, he had a strange dream that made him woke up. When he looked in the mirror, he realized that his gender had changed and this made him scream. When Oliver tried to approach Pete, he was immediately forbidden to move closer. When they went to their first class that day, they noticed that Pete was acting strangely. After a while, Michaela noticed her relative, named Stacy, with her attendant, Faye. But Stacy continued to avoid her. A few moments later, their teacher, named Dustin, arrived for their first day of broom riding class. When they entered the room, they saw many broomsticks moving above them. Dustin said that these brooms choose who they wanted to own them. They saw that many of these brooms liked Nano, and Oliver was not surprised by this anymore. When Nano noticed a broomstick on the side, Dustin warned her to be careful with it. She approached it and decided that this was the one that she wanted to take. At first, it seemed like the broom did not want to be tamed, but after a while, she was able to convince it. She immediately tried it, and Dustin was amazed at her because even though he tried to tame the broomstick several times, he still failed. Oliver immediately recognized this broomstick because he was sure that it was his mother's tool. After that, their next class was alchemy, and since Darius was gone, Theodore was the new teacher assigned to their class. Their next class was their new subject, the magical engineering, which was being handled by Enrico. For their task that day, they were assigned to dismantle the boxes within an hour. And if they could not do it until the time was up, he had a surprise stored in the boxes. They successfully dismantled all 3 boxes, but time was running out for the 4th box. Because of this, they moved away from the box, but Pete was left behind because he felt bad about his body. When the box opened, Oliver quickly protected Pete, and he became the victim of the snakes that came out of it. Then Guy thought of a way to keep the snakes away. It was here that Oliver decided to talk to Pete with just the 2 of them. It turned out that he had noticed that Pete had changed gender, and it was called a reversee. He congratulated Pete, saying that it was a blessing for a magic user. When Pete tried the tonitrus, he could not believe how powerful it was. A few moments later, Carlos suddenly came there, who had been listening to the 2 of them for a while. It turned out that he also felt that Pete would reach this situation, and he confirmed it that morning. So he invited Pete to the gathering that would take place that night. In the evening, Pete went with Oliver, and they also saw Alvin waiting for them. When they got inside the venue, they were surprised that there were many students who had the same situation as Pete. A few moments later, Oliver saw Gwen playing violin on stage. After playing the instrument, Carlos sang, and Oliver immediately noticed that it was an enchanted voice. While they were listening to the song, Pete mentioned to Oliver that he felt like he could accept his new body. One day while they were on their way to class, they met another first year who introduced himself by the name Tullio. He knew them all, and told Pete that he could not wait to have face-to-face duel with her. It turned out that the 2 of them would face each other in their sword arts class. Pete's face showed the kind of emotion she had for Tullio. When the fight started, she rushed immediately, but Tullio was able to knock her down, causing Pete to lose in the fight immediately. Before Pete returned to her seat, Tullio told her that she would not be strong if her friends would always protect her. After hearing this, she begged her classmates to train her, especially that in their next class they would be using magic. Oliver agreed and immediately started training her. While Tullio was just outside the room listening to them. During their break time, he approached Pete to offer to train her, then he said that she would learn faster if he would be the one to guide her. Michaela tried to stop him, so he informed everyone that it might be the right time to find out who was the strongest among the first-year students. Stacy immediately decided to join it, so Faye also accepted the challenge. Because of this, Nano, Michaela and also Oliver joined and accepted the challenge. When Tullio got the names of the participants, he explained the mechanics and rules. Each of them would hold a gold medal, and the loser of each match must give the medal that he was holding to the winner. And after 1 week, the 4 with the most medals would face each other in the finals. Evelyn immediately challenged Nano, so they fought first. Based on Oliver's analysis, there was a high possibility that Evelyn would use the distance because she knew that Nano was not an expert when it comes to magic spells. At the beginning of their fight, Evelyn used an impetus, but Nano easily avoided it that she was able to get close to Evelyn, then immediately defeated her. In the afternoon after Oliver and Pete's training, Teresa informed Oliver that Gwen and Shannon wanted to talk to him. While he was in the labyrinth on his way to Gwen's workshop, he and Ophelia met. She wanted to talk to him first, and he granted her request. She asked on how he felt after his fight with the Garuda monster. They talked about it because she also found out about their fight with the monster. Since Oliver had almost the same impression as Alvin on the Garuda, they also discussed about Alvin. Ophelia was sure that Alvin also liked Oliver because they both had a lot in common. Before Ophelia left, she advised Oliver not to go on too many adventures in the labyrinth and just stay at school like an ordinary student. When he came to the workshop, Shannon immediately hugged him. While they were talking, he mentioned that he talked to Ophelia on the way. Shannon wanted to follow her, but Gwen stopped her because she could not reach her anymore. It was only here that Oliver found out that Shannon and Ophelia were also close to each other. Then Gwen asked about Oliver's hunch that Nanoe used the seventh spellblade. He was not yet 100% sure of this, but since he also used a spellblade, he had a strong feeling that Nanoe was using this technique. He also mentioned that Nanoe was also chosen by his mother's broomstick. When he returned, he felt that as if someone was following him. After a while, he asked this person to show up, and it turned out to be Tullio. He wanted to challenge Oliver, and he immediately accepted it. When they started, they were equally aggressive in their attacks. Until Tullio punched Oliver in the face, and it was followed by a series of punches. Because of this, Oliver decided that he would defeat Tullio after his 8 attacks. When they continued, Oliver easily avoided Tullio's attacks, and just like what he said after his 8th attack, he defeated him. After the fight, he also got the gold medal that Tullio was holding. When he left there, a few minutes later while Tullio was about to leave, a first-year student challenged him. The next day, Pete decided to let others know that he was a reversee. Just like Oliver's reaction, they were also happy and congratulated her. A few moments later, Tullio came there to announce his retreat. It turned out that he lost to other students repeatedly, so he decided to withdraw. In the afternoon, while Katie was talking to the troll, someone sent her a map. It turned out to be the map of Vera's workshop that Vera wanted to give to Katie as her way of apologizing for what she had done. Katie wanted to accept this because apart from wanting to have a workshop for her research, she also wanted this to be their secret base. At first, the others were hesitant about what she wanted to do, but after Nanoe revealed her full support to it, the others also agreed. They immediately headed there, and while they were on the way, they encountered various types of traps. Then they also saw a vendor selling different goods, so they decided to shop there. When they arrived at the workshop, they were surprised that the room was huge. They also cooked the foods they bought, and after they ate, they had a short talk. This was when Michaela said that she thought of giving a name to their group. Nanoe thought of a name, but before she said it, she made everyone stand and draw their swords. Then she said the name of their group, and it was Sword Roses. The next day, when they were supposed to start their training, they heard guys scream. It turned out that it was because he saw the troll that was with Katie, and they found out that it was Vera who brought it there. When Pete woke up, someone handed him her eyeglasses. But she was surprised that it turned out to be a hand with an eye, so she hurried out. It was Vera's severed hand that she turned into a pseudo-life form. When Michaela asked what was Vera's real reason for giving Katie her workshop, she said that it was her investment because she believed in Katie's potential. They found out that Katie had given the troll a name, and it was Marco. A few minutes later, Vera also left there and they decided to explore the entire first layer of the labyrinth. Until Michaela suddenly stopped because she knew that they were close to the second layer. She said that the environment there was very different compared to the first layer, and it was known as the bustling forest. Suddenly they heard the voice of Stacy who had been waiting for them. She wanted to fight them in a 2-on-2 battle. Since it was not against the rules, they agreed to it, but Joseph suddenly came there and suggested 3-on-3. Oliver could not see any problem about it, so they agreed to the suggestion. Their opponents took them to the second layer because they wanted to do their battle there. When they arrived, Joseph said that he wanted to fight with Nanoe, so they faced each other. But when they started, Oliver made a way to exchange with Nanoe and fought with Joseph. Because of this, Nanoe and Faye fought each other. Faye created an explosion and quickly ran away, but she was immediately chased by Nanoe. While Oliver and Joseph exchanged strong attacks. Joseph just underestimated Oliver, thinking that everything Oliver knew was only learned from books. So Oliver attacked from what he learned from the book, but he was able to injure Joseph. Meanwhile, in the battle between Nanoe and Faye, Faye could not believe in Nanoe's strength. When Nanoe was about to attack again, Stacy came there to help Faye. When Michaela arrived, it was here that Stacy told Faye to transform into a werewolf. Stacy rode on his back and they immediately rushed at Michaela. Nanao came and attacked them, although she hit Faye, Faye still endured it. In the continuation of the fight between Oliver and Joseph, Joseph thought that he had caused severe damage on Oliver with his fregus. But he was surprised that Oliver was able to avoid it. Then Oliver was able to push him until they reached the river. He used his strength to throw Oliver, but he did not expect that Oliver would kick him. At this moment, Oliver used the impetus that caused Joseph's defeat. When Stacy attacked Michaela again, Michaela proceeded with a tonitrus that greatly affected Stacy. Faye tried to get up, so Nanao immediately pointed her sword at him. Stacy got up again and her fight with Michaela continued. Until Michaela was able to make Stacy let go of her sword, and this was when Stacy lost in the fight. Stacy just cried because she could not beat Michaela. Nanao found out that Michaela and Stacy were siblings on the father's side, that according to Michaela it was the tradition of their clan that the members of the main family must share their blood with the branch family. But she added that she was not allowed to call Stacy her sister or call her as her father's daughter. Stacy wanted to be better than Michaela so she could be recognized and be accepted as Theodore's daughter. Nanao told Stacy that she should not force herself to take Michaela's place because each of them had a different personality that could not be simply replaced. And she said that she also wanted to meet the real Stacy who was naturally herself. After that, Joseph talked to them and shared something about his past. It was when he was young, he had a childhood friend who always challenged him to a game of chess, even though he repeatedly beat him. Until one day, his childhood friend was able to beat him, but he also happy while watching him celebrate the win. Out of his happiness, he told his father about it, and this was when he found out that he was not allowed to lose to anyone. He was punished for half a day, and his friend never came back to play with him. So now that he lost once again, he told them that this could not happen, then he released the stinger bees. He wanted Oliver to surrender, and he would also erase all of their memories of what happened. Stacy suddenly attacked a stinger bee, and these creatures rushed at them. Guy immediately created a barricade where they could hide, and they all quickly entered it. Then Katie lit incense to drive away the stinger bees. They took this opportunity to plan what they would do next. Oliver thought about accepting Joseph's offer to withdraw in the fight. Although Nanao had no problem with this, she still wanted to make Joseph taste the defeat he deserved. Even Katie and the others wanted this too, so Oliver said another plan that he thought. After he explained it, Michaela said that she also wanted to try something. Joseph was surprised when the stinger bees were suddenly attracted to the barricade. Meanwhile, the others were stunned by Michaela's power because what she wanted to try was her power as a half-elf. When the barricade was broken, they used the tonitrus at the same time, which was very strong due to Michaela's double incantation. Then Nanao immediately took action to attack Joseph. She quickly eliminated the remaining stinger bees and managed to hit Joseph. When they went down, they both rushed at the same time, but Nanao's strength still prevailed. After a while and when Joseph got up, Oliver approached him to tell him that they would fight again in the future when they were both strong. Then they decided to come out of the labyrinth and continue the exploration the next day. But a magical beast suddenly appeared, and when Joseph attacked it, it managed to capture him. It turned out that it was not alone, so they quickly ran to escape. Faye tried to save Stacy but caused him to be caught by the monster. And when Pete fell to the ground, the monster quickly pulled her away. Oliver immediately informed Alvin of what happened, and he found out that they were currently talking about it because they had received 8 cases similar to this incident, and 17 students were reported missing. He also found out that Ophelia did this because she had been swallowed by her spell. That was when he remembered her warning when they had a talk. On the other hand, Pete and the other victims were currently imprisoned in Ophelia's workshop. While Alvin and the others decided to enter the labyrinth to find Ophelia's workshop. They also took with them the other members of the student council, named Tim and Lisetti. A few days had passed and there was still no news about Pete, and this made Guy felt so worried. Oliver talked to Gwen and Shannon to ask for their help to save Pete. They also had a plan to follow the student council in the search. But since Ophelia's workshop is in the 3rd layer, they were sure that it would not be easy. Katie talked to Luther to ask for help as well, but according to him, the teachers would only start searching after 8 days since the disappearance of the missing student. When Oliver and Michaela talked, Michaela said that she also planned to enter the labyrinth to find Pete. But Oliver immediately objected to what she was planning to do, but she was determined to do it. Because of this, Oliver also decided to go with her. Suddenly, they heard a voice and it turned out to be Vera. She wanted to talk about something, and Katie was also with them. They found out that Katie asked Vera for help in exchange for her consent to look into her brain. Oliver disagreed on this, so Vera told them her other proposal. She said that she would train Oliver, and although there was little chance that they would defeat Ophelia, they would have a chance to save Pete. And in exchange for this, when everything was over, she would hire Katie to serve as her research partner. Katie immediately accepted it, and she also begged Oliver to accept the proposal as well. When Oliver also agreed to this, they went to Nano to inform her about it. They also told her that Katie would not be able to join them because she was not yet capable enough to join the fight. Oliver went to see Guy, and just like Katie, he could not come with them. So he just provided them with tool plants which were similar to what he used as a barricade for stinger bees. Apart from this, he also gave bread for their meal, and he thought that Pete might be hungry once they meet her. Before they entered the labyrinth, Vera entrusted her mealy hand to Katie. She thought that she might not be able to come back alive, and Katie could use it to access her research notes. While they were walking through the labyrinth, Vera mentioned that Ophelia was taking students to get the mana that would be needed to create many chimeras. They were worried that Ophelia would only take men. So they also informed Vera that Pete was a reversee. After hearing this, Vera thought that Ophelia might kill Pete. When they got to Vera's workshop, they saw Marco there because the chimeras did not chase him. Vera took a magic potion and gave to Oliver so that it would protect him from Ophelia's perfume. Meanwhile, Alvin's group was split into two to speed up their search. Alvin met Kevin on the way and he gave them a notebook where he drew the map of the third layer. Because of this, Carlos hugged him and thanked him for what he did. Then Kevin also immediately decided to return to explore again. After a few minutes of walking, they met a monster similar to the one that kidnapped Pete. Vera took this opportunity to teach them how to fight it. While she was fighting it, she told them what to do to make each attack more effective. And when they saw the weak spot, this was the right time to defeat the opponent. Michaela was amazed at what she did because she made it look easy. A few minutes later, they entered the second layer. But while they were walking, Nano felt nauseous. When they found a safe place, they ate and rested for a while. They shared the food that Guy gave to Oliver. After a while, Oliver felt someone near them, so he excused himself saying that he would get them something to drink. It turned out to be Teresa, and Oliver immediately asked her the location of Gwen and Shannon. According to Teresa, they were now close to the third layer. She was also mentioned that if she saw Oliver, she had been assigned by Gwen to make her go back immediately. But she had no intention of following them because since the coronation, she had considered Oliver as the leader. Because of this, Oliver assigned her to check their path if there was any danger. When they continued walking, Vera was surprised that they did not see any magical beasts. They had no idea that Teresa had eliminated them all. It was not long when they arrived at the territory of a magical beast that was wounded. Vera suspected that this creature had faced Ophelia's chimera. When Vera was about to fight it, Nano stopped her. Nano talked to it, and they could not believe that she was able to tame and make it go away. It turned out that she used what she learned from Katie on how to communicate properly with magical beasts. Meanwhile, Stacy was currently in the second layer with her half-sister, named Lynette. It was because she also intended to save Faye from Ophelia. Suddenly, the magical beast who was near with Oliver's group came out again because it sensed something coming. It was a chimera that Ophelia released, and it immediately killed the magical beast. In this situation, they quickly took action to fight the creature. While Vera was just on standby and watching them to see if Oliver and the others had learned anything from what she taught them. Oliver and Michaela used different magic spells on the chimera, and Nanu tried to attack it with her sword. After her attacks, Nano had a chance to cut off one of the chimera's legs, but it regenerated quickly. Then Oliver discovered that the sudden change in temperature weakened the chimera's armor. Because of this, Oliver immediately attacked it with nitrous. They continued to attack until Oliver was able to tie the creature up. But it turned out that the enemy had prepared something to counter him. Vera acted quickly to help them. But when the smoke cleared, they found out that Oliver had blocked the chimera's attack. It was here that Oliver had the opportunity to hit it with the sword, and it was immediately followed by Fregus. From all the efforts they had shown, they successfully defeated the enemy, and this made Vera very happy. They continued walking and came face to face with more chimeras. After some time, they rested in a cave. While Nano and Michaela were sleeping, Oliver and Vera talked about Pete. Vera asked why they were sacrificing their lives just to save Pete when they had only known each other for a few months. So Oliver said his admiration towards Pete during the entrance ceremony. Instead of going with the other students who just ran away from trouble, Pete chose to join them to face the troll even though he knew in himself that he was not very good at using magic spells. Vera mentioned that she was also interested in Oliver. This was because even though he had no particular talent, he still managed to keep up with Nano and Michaela. Vera had a suspicion that something happened to Oliver in the past that motivated him to reach this level. Meanwhile, in Ophelia's workshop, Joseph also woke up. He wondered why Pete was still breathing even the place where they were was full of Ophelia's perfume. So Pete said that she was a reversee and had a woman's body, which was the reason why she was not affected by perfume. Joseph shut her mouth because he knew that Ophelia would kill Pete if she found out that Pete was now a woman. Because of this, he took the orb that was buried in his stomach and gave it to Pete, then told her to use it to escape. Joseph added that if the others learned their exact location, there was a high possibility that they would all be able to survive. Years ago, Ophelia and Carlos had met for the first time when they were children. Even though Carlos was a boy, he had learned the castrato, that's why he could resist Ophelia's perfume. Since then, they became close friends. When Oliver and the others entered the third layer, they could also feel Ophelia's perfume. At that moment, Vera told Oliver to use the antidote potion to protect himself. It was only a few moments when they reached the swamp that they had to cross. With the use of Guy's tool plants, they were able to create a boat that they needed. But before they got on it, Vera taught them how to walk on water. Nano tried it first, but she sank in the water right away. Oliver tried it next, and he did it successfully. He remembered what his mother used to do, so he also imitated her. He took Nano to try it again, and she was able to do it too. When Michaela tried it, she also did it. Meanwhile, Stacy lit incense to ward off the skyfish. Then they used their broomstick to cross the swamp as well. While Oliver's group was in the middle of the swamp, Cyrus suddenly appeared and immediately led his disciple out. When he found out that they were heading towards Ophelia, he decided to kill them, since this was the same thing that would happen if they were to fight with Ophelia. Michaela tried to make an alliance with him in exchange for Ophelia's research in case they defeated her, but Cyrus was not interested in it. They found out that he was there to attend Ophelia's funeral. Oliver noticed that Vera seemed to be doing something with her athame. Suddenly, the water chimera appeared and immediately attacked the disciple of Cyrus. Because of this, they quickly left and let Cyrus take care of the chimera. On the other hand, Alvin and Carlos once again remembered the day when Ophelia was still with them. The day Ophelia entered the academy, Carlos introduced her to Alvin and also to Tim and Lisetti. Alvin offered her to also be a member of the campus watch with the goal of helping students who had been in danger. She agreed to this, and she acted as the healer of their group. In the following year, many first years also wanted to join them. So Alvin assigned Ophelia to conduct an interview to each applicant. But there were other second years who were angry with Ophelia because they thought that she was only attracting Alvin with her perfume. Since they wanted her to prove that she was really strong, she released a chimera from her stomach. Tim also confronted her immediately after what she did. Tim asked her if she was also planning to seduce Alvin. When Ophelia did not deny this, Tim got angry and rushed at her. So at night, Alvin saw Tim, who was already dead and lying on the ground. After this incident, Alvin also regretted that he failed to properly guide Ophelia. When Ophelia could no longer bear her feelings for Alvin, she left to look for him. After a while, Joseph could no longer feel her mana, so he asked Pete to start their plan. Pete successfully got out of the workshop and used the orb to create a signal. It was noticed immediately by the searchers of Ophelia's workshop. Pete was about to lose consciousness when she heard that she was called by someone. It turned out to be Oliver and the others, but not long after, Ophelia also appeared to them. Vera asked her if they could just leave because she might not be needing Pete anyway. But Ophelia had no intention of letting them go, and she began her incantation for the grand aria. Because of this, Vera immediately told the others to stop Ophelia, but the chimera protected her. It only took a few moments for her to complete the spell, then they realized that they seemed to be inside her womb. It turned out that Stacy and her sister were also there, and many chimeras started to come out as well. Vera approached Ophelia and said some things about her and Alvin that made Ophelia angry. She led her chimeras to attack Vera, but Michaela and the others fought back. Then Vera tried to approach Ophelia, but she was also noticed by the enemy immediately. Vera used her enchanted eye, so Ophelia was petrified. But she was attacked from behind because Ophelia already had an antidote to her petrification. Vera once again said something to Ophelia that pissed her off, so she attacked Vera again. Oliver noticed that the chimeras seemed to be retreating. Because of this, Oliver assigned Nano to attack Ophelia while they took care of the chimeras. When Oliver saw an opportunity, he asked Nano to attack Ophelia. Nano was about to hit Ophelia, but when she saw her crying, she hesitated and this caused the chimera to get ahead of her. Oliver immediately approached Nano to help her get up. Ophelia was jealous of what Oliver was doing with Nano, and she remembered the times when she was a member of the campus watch. A few moments later, Alvin and Carlos arrived there. Alvin apologized to Ophelia because he made her wait. Carlos tried to approach her, but the chimera was protecting Ophelia. He removed the magical tattoo on his neck and began to sing. Oliver found out from Alvin that Carlos was given responsibility by order of their family in case Ophelia was swallowed by the spell. Due to his resistance against all types of sexual magic, he successfully got closer to Ophelia and immediately embraced her. Alvin knew what was going to happen next to the two of them, so he said goodbye to Carlos and Carlos did the same. After a while, Ophelia and Carlos completely disappeared. Because of this, the victims were also freed from Ophelia's spell. Gwen and Shannon also arrived who were both happy because Oliver was safe. When they came out of the labyrinth, they were greeted by Katie and other students. This is the end of the last episode of Reign of 7 Spellblades Season 1. I hope you like it and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss new uploaded videos. Thank you for watching.